Hi, I'm Ritvij. I run a company called Pikey into data visualization. We've been around for 2.5 years now. So first 2 years we didn't earn any money, and now we are essentially building visual representations of large data sets for our customers. We work with very different kind of clients. Our first clientele is software product companies. These are people who have products and they want to visualize and build their dashboards out. So we visualize the data for them. The second set of customers are businesses, like core business functions like marketing and sales, who have large data sets and the managers want to take faster decisions. And last is data journalists. These are media houses or journalists who want to write stories which are extremely data driven. So some of the companies that you might recognize, our clients would be 500 startups, Microsoft, Games to Win, First Post, Visually, maybe Akshara also. Right, so I'll see, my presentation is pretty fragmented, I've not really built it out. And I'll share various things, you tell me which part is interesting for you and I'll accordingly share that information. So, let's look at an example. So First Post is a media organization, part of Network 18 group. They asked us to visualize the IPL cricket scorecard. Now, this is the typical cricket scorecard that you see in most sites. It's extremely text heavy, right? There's a lot of scrolling. There are multiple pages. So what we did was, so the task given to us was, how do you concisely communicate cricket scores in a very quick way, right? With less scrolling. So typically a data visualization job starts with first breaking down your data sets into multiple dimensions, breaking it down into multiple hierarchies, and then start identifying what that data, how is it structured, and what are the properties between the various data elements. So a cricket scorecard would be broken down into, let's say, pre-match data, post-match data, per batsman statistics, per bowler statistics, fall of wickets, partnerships, etc. And once we start looking at the data set, we start finding common dimensions out here. The most common dimension in cricket is overs. Overs is the notion of time in cricket, right? So one over has many balls, one over has one bowler, one over has many batsmen. Existence of batsmen across overs is partnerships. End of that partnership is a fall of wicket. So once we had modeled this data, now we could actually take our first step toward visualizing the data. Let's take a step backward. So data visualization involves two things, data and visualization. So you have data where you're trying to understand the properties of the data, right? What are the elements that you want to communicate, and then there are visual encodings, things that your eyes will understand and how to communicate that very effectively. Right, so this is how we started first. So overs, we plotted that on the x-axis, y-axis you have balls. First over, first ball, 1 run. First over, second ball, 4 runs, etc. The wickets are an important data set, so we mark them in red. Dot balls are dots because they're not that important. Partnerships is nothing but a GNAT chart, right? Batsman 1 is batting from over 1 till over 9. Batsman 2 is from over 1 to over 3, so their partnership exists here. And this is the fall of wicket. Right, and we start combining the two charts, and this is what we get eventually. This is the end product that we built for First Post. These are the overs, these are the balls. First over, first ball, 4 runs. If you look at the data here, there's ball by ball data plotted everywhere, right? And 4 is highlighted, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs are highlighted. 1, 2, 3 runs, which is a lower important data set, are dulled out. Dot balls are just dots, right? Then these are partnerships. I'll just show you the live one. Right, so these are the 2 innings, who won the toss. All the information that is typically there in a cricket scorecard is encoded out here. The current ball, so if the overs were over till here and this is the current ball, then this would be flashing. So the user knows where to focus on. right? The first over is bowled by S. Binney, so his name is out here. These are the two current batsmen batting. Okay. Now, let's say if I want to look at one bowler statistics. So typically, people think that when you want to communicate data, we'll put all the data out there and the user will be able to decide. But that's not a good practice. You typically give a summary of data and allow users to zoom in or zoom out, right? So I'm seeing the live scorecard and I want to look at one bowler's statistics. So I'll just hover over this guy, I'm not sure, R. Bhatia. So only his overs are shown out here. All the other overs are hidden and I see his statistics. I want to look at one batsman. I will just hover over Al Hassan and I see only the balls that he has played and his statistics, right? If I want to look at partnerships, this is how the whole innings panned out. Gambhir batted from here to here, etc. These are the partnerships, these are the follow wickets. This is again on zoom in. So again, another thing that I want to showcase here is that we have used color to highlight the current batsmen, the other ones are dulled out. Who hit that six? So when you're looking at this scorecard now, suddenly if you want to zoom into one particular ball, I'm not sure which six out here, but one of the sixes. So you just take your mouse, hover over this six, and you'll get the commentary for that ball, and you'll see which batsman was batting and who was the bowler. So again, the art of data visualization basically focuses on taking large data sets, encoding it in a very simple manner, adding hierarchies to your data so that you start with the summary and then you can zoom in. You either zoom in like visually where you can actually zoom in, or you can actually just show the data with interactivity. Here we have used interactivity. So this is what PyKey does. I can show you a few more examples. This is what we did for elections, for first post election counting day. So again, probably it's not very visible, but these are the alliances. Within each alliance there are these parties. So there's a breakdown, it's a multi-level chart where this is NDA, and within NDA you have BJP and you have some other Shiv Sena and stuff. So you can hover over each one and see how much they're winning in, how much basically seats they have. And then we have these concepts of we had the concept of like out here, this is leads. A lead is when you are winning some seats but you've not yet won. So again, this is grouped data, this is hierarchical data where you have the alliance and the party, and this simple thing communicates a lot of information. Right, so this is basically data visualization. This is something that we did for 500 startups. Right, so a company like 500 startups has got like lots of investments, right? 500,000. They have pretty large investments, lots of companies spread across the world. They are across many quarters. And how would you analyze this portfolio? So this is what we did for them. It's because the resolution is not very clear. I'm not sure why. So what we have here is each bubble out here is a company, right? Each bubble is a company. Below we have the IR, that is return over time, return rate over time. This is the multiplication, that is how big the company is growing. And then first of all, you can actually just zoom in. That hey, I want to look at analytics companies in United States in which I've done seed investment. So only these companies are applicable, right? And then again, this is simulated data, it's not real data, but typically you will have a timeline of 16 to 20 quarters. And then you can just press the play button. Again, the data is bad, so the simulation is not going to be good. But you will see these bubbles moving, growing, reducing, growing, reducing. So you know how your portfolio is performing. So let's say if I was 500 startups and I'm trying to communicate how my portfolio is doing to my investors, this is how I'll do it. So, right, I'll give you a few more examples. If I can find this is another example. Right, actually, let's look at this. Typically, we also think of dashboards as something where you're puking historical data. You just take historical data and put it out there, and that's about it. At Pikey, we realized that lag analytics, or that is analysis of historical data, is probably not the right way to do things. So we've started experimenting with what we call as lead analytics, where we take historical data and use interactivity to help the managers or the users plan their future data sets, right? So this is a very simple example where, let's say I want to plan my savings, right? So this is my salary coming in, and I typically know that this is my monthly income is this much. I am planning, again, just swap these two. This is the wrong screenshot, but this is the goal. So I want to save this much, but with my current expenditure, I'm reaching only till here. Okay, and these are my monthly expenses. Now expenses are further broken down into voluntary, involuntary, etc. And I can take, let's say I'm spending, I don't know, 5,000 rupees on smoking every month. What I can do is I can start reducing. Hey, if I reduce my smoking expense, then what these start changing. So I'm actually doing my budgets with my annual plan in view and changing it, and I'm basically planning my budgets accordingly. The same thing can be done by CFOs for their balance sheets. Okay, my balance sheet is supposed to look like this. Where do I cut down expenses? Right. This is fine. Right. So this is what Pikey does. You have a question on that?
How does it do it?
How? So when I talk about the tools that we use a lot of D3. In fact, we've actually extended D3, and so like D3 provides a lot of custom layouts. It provides a lot of layouts, and we've enhanced it to build our own layouts on top of it. So we really bend D3. We use Knockout for real-time data. So when we did IPL, when we do election counting, if we do budget in the future or stock market, but we've also helped with energy forecasting for an American company. So all of this data is coming pretty live. How do you connect it? We bind it live with Knockout. We use underscore for searching and filtering, and we use TopoJSON for maps. Our backend. So initially we started just as a JavaScript company which is doing visualizations, but then we realized that this is not working out for us, because we need to, as data is coming in, we need to clean it, model it, analyze it live as it's happening. So how do we do it? So we've actually started building our own backend out there. It is built on Ruby, not on Python. We use Rails for rendering it, Postgres for SQL and NoSQL. So we use the JSON and Store pretty extensively. Redis for our event machines. So everything works for event machines. Pentaho data integration for modeling the modeling the data, and R for statistics. So this is the user libraries. Any question?
So what all sources of data are acceptable?
In
Excel, CSV?
I can demo the tool. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
So what we've done is, so for different clients we require different data sets, right? For a business, like a traditional business, database mein sab hoga. We'll take it and we'll analyze it. That's one. But for someone like data journalists, so like when the Badayu rape case happened, a data journalism driven organization will want to go to National Crime Statistics Bureau, get all the historical FIR data which is in PDFs, take out the data, mine it, and then say how much crime is happening against Dalit women in UP. That's the story. So we'll mine PDFs. Right? For something like cricket, we'll take live feeds from Sports Interactive and plot it. Right, so it's pretty fragmented. So it can be CSV, it can be APIs. Yeah.
I have explored D3 a lot, and I really liked even the person Mike was talking is really great. So what are the reasons you said you had to bend D3? I mean, I thought it is so huge, and
I can show you some examples. things that D3 does not support. So let's look at this. So this is an example of this chart per se. Sankey is available in D3, but our business case was such that we had to do this. Embed a pi inside Sankey. How do you do it? Right? So there might be more examples which are like skipping my head, but D3 is designed around standard data formats. And okay, you know what? Even the election thing. So if you look at this, this is actually it's a tree, right? You have globe, right? You have the root, and in above the root you have alliances, and within each alliance you have parties. Now the typical D3 sunburst chart starts from here, then you have the alliance, and then you have the parties. It spawns like this, right? But when we analyze this, we realize that the most important thing is not the party, but the alliance, right? Is NDA getting that 272 is more important than whether BJP is getting. But what D3 was allowing is that the BJP part, that is the individual parties outside. So here what we've done is we've actually changed D3 to take the root in the global set, then the alliance and the parties inside. Why? Because the alliance.
So the main row will be NDA and on top of it will be BJP.
Yeah,
Sena,
so that, yes, that is what D3 will provide.
Right.
What we've done here is we've reversed the whole tree. And that's not easy. So that's the answer.
So here, what do you mean by D3 will provide? Because
So D3
I have
has
only limited
yeah.
knowledge of D3.
Right.
When I used it, you basically need to build SVG
Yes.
stuff. So does it provide anything out of the box like this? Or
No, it does not provide this. So
no, like the one that you changed, that you had to change.
no, it does not provide.
Okay.
So we leverage. So D3 has the good parts of D3. So if you start using standard layouts of D3, you'll get standard charts, right?
Okay.
But behind those standard charts, there are a lot of functions to draw lines and draw circles, etc. So we typically develop our own custom layouts with our own data formats and leverage those more core functions to build out this.
Okay. So you mean there are some layouts which D3 shares and you can use them?
Yeah, there's a pretty extensive set, but we end up using a lot of our own layouts.
I mainly use cross filter with.
Yeah, we
with
use a lot of cross filter also.
Yeah, you have to use, I guess.
Yeah.
Without that.
Yeah, a lot of cross. Right, so right, so basically, you know what, at Pikey over the last few years, we've realized that the art of data visualization starts from data, and we've been analyzing a lot of different variety of data sets in a very with different properties, right? And like, I'll give you a simple example. When you make a pie chart, don't make all the slices in different colors. Why? Because that visual encoding, the color is not communicating any data. So you want your pie chart to communicate the data in the first glance, right? So we've been fine-tuning which visual encodings to use where for which cases over the last 2.5 years. Also, we've been finding these patterns in data sets that allow us to use the right visual encodings. So like for the cricket, what we had was a simple scatter plot, but we put overs and we put heat on the runs, right? Heat as in heat map ki tarah, there's light on lower runs and there is darker on more runs. So they are all of like these visual encodings need to be used very wisely, and when to use it depends on the data set. So what we've done is we've broken down the whole D3 or the whole universe of charts into this classification of charts. And typically we understand this now. So we typically start with analyzing the data set. I'll take a step backward. So generally people think meko pie chart chahiye, let's get the data now. We have to start from data first, design later. So we start with looking at the data, finding the properties in the data, finding the relationships in the data, and then going to one of these. This becomes the basis for choosing what to do. challenges we face. Manpower. Like finding people who even know JavaScript is very tough. Coding standards. Initially, our JavaScript coding was all over the place. Now we've decided to stick to maintainable JavaScript by. There are no framework around visualization. So how do you organize your code? How do you build your code? How should the code be organized? How your data should be coming in? So we had kicked off a project called as Pike Charts and Pike Maps I think a year ago now. It's still under development, but now we decided to build our own. It's not a framework per se, but we built our own coding standards. This is how it will be built. Now by doing that, we know that. So like Rails, I don't know if you guys have used Rails. Rails has a very well-defined format that this code goes here, this code goes here. Similarly, we've done something for visualization. Another challenge is data transformation modeling at high velocity. Something like IPL, the data is going to change every minute. How do you model your data in the front end at that frequency, at that velocity? So for that, I'll demo a tool now. So we are moving toward that tool now. Interactivity for mobile designs is a big challenge because typically interactivity revolves around hovering. I feel there's no hover in a mobile, so that's gone. Configuration management. So when you build front end, we typically think of. So let's think of it this way. If I'm building it for a client, the client might want to change. Just let's take the simplest case. You might want to change background color of a page, right? Now, as developers, we'll just go and change the CSS and it will work. But the client wants to do it himself. If he wants to do it himself, then how do you allow him to configure these things, right? So typically, historically we've been building tables. We'll put it, there'll be a front end. We'll go configure all of that. But we moved to a small hacky tool called as Ace. Right. So what did I do? I just added a form. It's like Google Forms, right? You keep adding these forms like background color, what should be the meta tags, what should be the meta description, what should be various things, right? And it is taking that form, storing it in a JSON file, which then goes to our Postgres JSON blob, right? And the business manager gets a form like this. He goes here, changes this to red, presses save button, submit button, goes and gets saved in the JSON blob. And then we have a background worker which will take this JSON, put it to the CDN. The front end will just take that JSON and then while coding, we'll just take colors from there or descriptions from there. So just this is a really simple tool. It just took us like 3 days to build it, but it has eliminated a lot of our hassles when we deliver these projects. Right. Next, consumption of JSONs across domains. CORS error, everyone faces it. So that's a big problem for us too. How do you do SEO with data visualization? If I make an IPL scorecard which is on first post and they rely a lot on SEO, but all the data is sitting in an SVG file that Google can't read, what do you do with it? That's a problem. Also, so this is the JavaScript point of view. Generally, we face a lot of problems with data mining. A lot of data sitting in PDFs, a lot of data sitting across the web. How do you scrape sites in a very standardized way? How do you understand the metadata of data? So if let's say a client comes and gives a massive data file to us, okay, visualize this. We'll have to sit and analyze the data set. It'll take like hours and days to analyze it. So what we've started doing is, actually I'll come to that. So we've actually built a tool to start analyzing metadata. How do you standardize data? If half of your data is Mumbai and half is Bombay, how do you aggregate that data? You need to clean your data, standardization, and how do you model it? So what we've done is we've built a tiny tool. This is the principles around which we built it. Instead of waiting for data to be standardized, we are focusing on building a framework which allows for data collection. Very robust framework. It's built around event machines. Ideally, we should have used Node.js, but we didn't know Node, so we went to Ruby. automating analysis. So let's leave this part. Let's look here. So if there is a column with ISO2 codes, the program should automatically understand this column is ISO2 codes. So we are building open dictionaries to do that. If assisted data science. So if let's say there's a column with dates which is in different formats. Somebody has written 2nd of March, which is string, then a normal date, then somebody has written yesterday and somebody has written tomorrow, right? But actually they are all dates. How do you understand that that's actually date? So we have written a tiny NLP program which understands all of that. So let's take another example. If you have y, 1, 0, boolean, these are all booleans, right? Y, true, false, etc. If your data is corrupted like that, how do you standardize it? So the program will automatically identify that the probability of this being boolean is very high. Should I standardize the data? Yes, we'll go and clean it up. All of this is like 97% of your column is ISO2 codes. 2 of them are in ISO3. Should we standardize it to ISO2? Building tools around assisted analysis. Typically a lot of problems or opportunities rise in either outliers or clusters. So that is also something that we are trying to automate. We've not reached there yet. And as I mentioned, finally, the properties in your data determines what visual encodings to use. Should you be using saturation? Should you be using color? Should you be using etc. etc. So even once we start identifying the metadata, it will start suggesting which visual encodings are right for this data set. So we don't have to take the decisions. So this is a very early prototype of the tool. I don't know if it's working properly. Let's try it. Now let's hope the worker starts. Yeah, it's not. Right, so automatically if you see the booleans got standardized, right? Despite this being string, it identifies that this is date time, right? It understands yesterday as date time. I hope the ISO2 works. No, the ISO2 is not working, but it will understand this is ISO2 codes, right? It's understanding this is float and number. Okay, so it understands this is here the decimal is there, here decimal is not there. Okay, now let's work it. Let's see if it works. So state I can put here, GDP goes in size. Okay, it needs number. So what it basically does is you have like a CSV data set. We'll have 50 different charts, 100 different charts. You can choose the right chart, or you can even suggest the right charts. And you just drag out columns, it will model the data and it will start working. And as you update your CSV now, right, that data might be actually coming from Twitter and not from manual entry. So every minute the charts are reflecting live. So this is the tool that we use to simplify our life. So this takes typically CSV, it can take free text and there will be an NLP engine which will break it down into a little bit of text analytics. It can take JSONs from APIs. It is all driven around workers. So, right. So You have the first worker which is fetching the data, the second worker which is processing the data, the third worker which will start publishing into the CD, and the first worker will start again, fetching again.
I have one question here.
Yeah.
So in that table which you showed, CSV,
Okay.
so there are patterns on the basis of date,
Right.
or whether it's a boolean
Right.
or something else, ISO.
Right.
But can you, as in, can it be used for something like a set of values, and then you want to fuzzy match across it?
So I'll show you open dictionaries. So back to the workers. So like normal, it's just built on I think rescue. So we just keep mapping these workers, how they're working, so the client himself can go and see is my Twitter data been fetched. Right. So the boolean is probably coming from here. Right. So okay, so let's understand. So you have, let's say, code. So let's say you have Corolla, Innova, I don't know, Etios. That belongs, that is a genre of model. It belongs to parent code Toyota, which is a car company, right? And then you can see Toyota, go back to this and add Toyota, Ford, etc. car company. So basically you take any data set and you can start finding the clusters as you go up, right? You can say that in this data set, half of the data belongs to car companies. Right? So now, when I have a CSV or any data set coming in, I don't have to worry about what the data is. Maybe I won't have the dictionaries, that's a problem. But clients who typically are pretty organized in their this thing, like banking clients, etc., they know what their data is, so they can help us create these dictionaries.
Okay. But what I asked was about suppose you said Corolla, right? So what if Corolla is spelled wrong?
We've not done that yet.
And there is 3 rows.
Yeah.
The first row is Y,
Yeah.
say Y, and the second row is something else, some other word.
Right.
And the third row again is Y.
So
what it will be?
the data type of the, so each column has got a data type and the sub data type. The data type will be selected as string because you don't know what it is, and the sub data type might be also string. But in the probability string, it will tell you that there's 5% probability it's Boolean, 10% it's something else, something else, something else.
So depends upon percentage you decide.
Right. So now when I'm cleaning the data, I know कि आधा data ये, आधा ये, आधा ये. So what I need to clean. Any questions? I didn't cover too much of JavaScript. But so typically we've really I think JavaScript is not being too much of a problem now. The data is big plus.
So how do you find Ruby for mining data?
Not very good, but we know only that, so it's okay. So I think Python has a lot of more tools, even NLP, etc. There are a lot of more tools. So we built out the whole engine now, and what we're doing is we're giving these engines to various clients to run. So even if you're doing the visualization, so for a like for Microsoft, their World Partner Conference, one of the dashboards which is going to be there during the keynote is going to be ours. It's going to pull a lot of Twitter data, right? So the engine is going to be ours, the visualization is ours, but instead of doing all of that in the front end, now the engine does this part. So it solves the problem. In future, we need to move at least the workers to Python. Any questions? Just a fun fact, the name comes from a captcha. It doesn't mean anything.
One of my friends has a blog of this name.
Me Modi?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. By any chance you stay in Kandali?
No. So this was his idea. So how do you know? We take it. Right, any questions on data and visualization? Any challenges you're facing with visualization or any data sets where you have and you want to analyze it?
not challenges, but I'm still exploring the D3 part, and it's so big with cross filter, and I use DC.
So what's the case study you're using it in?
I didn't use. What I did is I worked for BNP Paribas.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a project, and during our steerco meeting, we used to show them that this month these users have logged in, this number of documents have been imported in our application. So we used to give them those stats, and what we realized is they were not happy with looking at those stats. They were not interactive, and every time we have to pull the data from our DB, push it up and put it in a PPT.
Right.
So it was not good. Then I started looking into it and then found D3 and DC and cross filter. So I created a web app using basic things. It's not advanced, but I used all the charts. I had the interactivity. I used a chloropath and showed them around the world how people are using it.
Right.
And they were surprised to see that.
Right.
That they didn't even believe that there could be something like that. It's so much easily interactive.
Right. So cross filter is mind blowing.
So what is exactly cross filtering?
Sorry?
What is exactly?
So typically when you have a large data set, so cross filter can handle 1 million rows at least.
Okay.
And let's say if it's a multi-dimensional data set, so let's say you want to see traffic from countries by device type, by I don't know, time of day when they are coming, how much time they are spending. So these are all dimensions in your data set, and you want to keep filtering it, right, with visual charts. So cross filter allows you to filter data if it's in one format. There's a very well-defined format that they have. It's OLAP modeled in a certain way, and you put that data, then it will allow you to filter it in JavaScript very quickly.
See, just like having SQL queries, you put group by and having,
Right.
You use them to group records based on some type, like car, how many cars. So it does it on JavaScript. You can give your own functions how you want to do, and it will. So it's a map reduce algorithm. So you give the grouping method, how you add it, how you remove it, and how it should handle, and it does it for you.
So it is made up on top of anything, or it's like
It's pure JavaScript.
Pure JavaScript.
Plain
Pure JavaScript.
There's a guy, Mike Bostock, who
he has written a D3, right?
yeah, he written D3 and cross filter.
Cross filter is by Square. It's not by Bootstrap.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought.
So this is an example of cross filter. It's on the census data set. The census is pretty huge data set. It'll take time to load. But basically, census has a very rich. It's a very rich data set. But finding that data is very tough.
No, I had a question. I mean, why we can do this offline on the server and then just give
Because
the data directly to
interactivity has to be immediate, right? I click on a state, usi state ka data should come in like milliseconds.
Okay.
If you're doing it on the server, then it's querying.
Yeah. I mean,
So
we are
typically
maintaining-
you model the data live, like
So pushing all the data on the browser and
yes,
then
yes,
querying on
yes,
the browser.
yes. So we load really heavy data sets on the browser.
So load first time must be
It's very.
time consuming, and then
So even the IPL thing, it was a really large data set which is coming online, right? Otherwise, how do I get every batsman ka which balls he has played and every commentary and everything? Not possible, right? Everything is there. So this is cross filter. So let's look at this. How are houses lit in India? And let's click on, let's say, Uttar Pradesh. And it's filtering live. So let's say Uttar Pradesh, 61% is from kerosene. And you go here, Gujarat, and some 90% is by electricity. Right? And there are more dimensions out there which is not there because of the resolution, but you can have it by SC, ST, urban, rural, etc.
That's typically drilled on what you're saying.
Yes. No, it's more of filtering rather.
So because you create a hierarchy in which you say, okay, I want to go into particular country, into a particular state. So that's basically, I mean, you're selecting a filter, but you create a hierarchy for that, no?
So this is hierarchy. This is a cash flow chart that we built for a client.
Okay.
So the red and the yellows and the oranges are the money that has to be sent out, that has to be given to somebody. The blue is the money that I have. Now how do I manage my cash when I have only this much but I have to pay this much? So this is how it's shown. You click on one of these and let's say you click here. Can you see the bars? No. Okay, so there's a bar which is coming like this out here, and it is taking this red area and breaking it down into percentages. And each is broken down into various heads like salaries, utilities, etc., etc., etc. Right? So this was the first level of data, this is the second level of data. And now when I click here, I can see the actual billables. कि किसको पैसा देना है. So I can see कि pay to Mr. Shah on this, due by this much, and click here and give me the exact invoice.
Because I am into BI development.
Right, so
I worked on MicroStrategy, Tableau
Oh,
visualization.
awesome. Right.
So I just recall like, okay, this is build up, build down, we create a hierarchy basically.
But this is drill up.
Yeah, that's it. Drill up. So planning your business to work on visualization part, something like that?
Yes. So visualization it is, but that tool has become very important. Because maybe it's an internal thing, but so we've cracked the visualization bit. We know it. Like we are very confident of it. Where we are really struggling is the data bit. So the tool that I was showing right now is going to become the backend engine for everything that we do.
So for each and every visualization or every project you require a different, you have to code something. It's like you're planning to have a tool which you dump data and some
That's a tool.
configuration.
That's a tool. 60% of our time or 70% of our time goes in data. You can imagine. So we are doing visualization, but 70% of our time we are spending on data. That's where the tool will find all the metadata, structure it, tell us where we need to focus, where we need to ignore. In this cluster, the data is bad, so go and clean it. We have open dictionaries, we'll standardize it.
Because when you have a structured data, say JSON or SCSV or something, it's easier to manipulate this. But when you're scraping from website or from PDF files or historical data, and then in that case NLP comes in a picture.
Yes.
So I guess that the
Yeah,
where
so
you
it's- yeah.
have more time.
Yeah, we're doing NLP a little bit, not that much, but we want to get. So all data sets that come, they have to be modeled right, whether it's JSON also. It's not easy to do any analytics on JSON. MongoDB is the worst tool to do analytics on. So the reason why we shifted to Postgres from Mongo was because you have your RDBMS structure also where you can do OLAP modeling and you can put your NoSQL data inside also and play around there with you.
Does OpenRefine a tool like OpenRefine help you?
Sorry?
Does a tool like OpenRefine
I
help you?
have not checked. What does it do?
OpenRefine is for refining data that's unstructured.
Okay, I'll check that.
It's a tool by Google, I guess.
Okay. Can you spell it?
OpenRefine, OPEN-REFINE. FINE, refine. NM.
Refine. Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.